Hi and welcome to another amplifier video. This one a little bit more detailed than normal because it's a very unusual amplifier. It's for the customer as well to hear it, but if anybody else needs to work on one of these or finds amplifiers at all interesting, you may be interested in this video. Right, basically this is a rockola sort of amplifier. It's a Mexican amplifier made under license from Rockola. By INSSA, INSSA I think they call themselves. There's no schematics for this amplifier and nothing I can find apart from one photograph on the internet about them. So it's a rather rare amplifier and I've never seen one before. Basically it's an early type Rockola amplifier, very similar but not the same, is in a 1458 or something of that era. Normally a 1458 amplifier has got 3 valves here, 1, 2 there, 3. This one's only got the 2. So it's a stripped down amplifier in some respects. It's got no AVC, so this would normally be in this position a 6BA6, and this one is a 6CY7, so no AVC. The controls along the front of the amplifier I think are slightly different as well. This one is for local and remote speakers. There's no 70-volt line on this amplifier. Well, how it was configured originally when I looked at the amp, whether it was original, that was a bass cut, but very rarely would want to do that. So I've altered the circuitry, so now it's a treble cut, high frequency cut. That one there is again high frequency cut. Doesn't make much difference really with the line in. It may do when there's a cartridge plugged into it, because on the early stages of the amp it just adds a capacitor really to ground to limit the high frequencies. These are the bass and treble controls. That one is treble, that one is bass. Again, the amplifier, as it came to me, the controls were absolutely knackered. The same as the hum valence pot was broken as well, so put a new one of those in. These are 2 new pots. Now I put the original values in here, 250k, which is what Rockola used, and used the values of the components that were in the amp when it came to me. It didn't work. I had hardly any bass and treble effect, so I've had to redesign this tone control section of my own design to give a decent lift of about 12 dB plus and minus on bass and treble. So now the tone controls work. Again, rather interesting, this amplifier had a socket here. It was the old round type that Rockola used, the 4-pin, for muting. The only thing is there's no mute relay in this amplifier as it came, which could be correct because on some of the early Rockola amplifiers they took the actual signal into the mechanism and just shorted it to ground via the mechanism. The later Rockolas used a mute relay. This amplifier is going into a tempo jukebox, which does use a mute relay rather than the signal going into the mech and be grounded out. So I've now taken this socket out and put this XLR socket in just for the mute input, because there's a different type of plug and socket to what's on a tempo. That's a Molex type, and the original plugs for these, which were in there, are very hard to get. So talk to the customer, LXR socket going in there, and I'll supply a plug as well, and then you can just connect that into the jukebox wiring. Okay, I'll pause this video and turn the amplifier over for you. Right, we're now back under the undersides of the amplifier, and it looks a lot different now to when it came to me. A few things that I found wrong with it, which you may find if you ever work on one of these. The HT existing wiring, especially going to this dropper resistor here. This resistor, by the way, was turned upside down so that the connections were along the bottom, and probably due to heat over the years or whatever, I don't know, the insulation on the original HT wiring had broken down, and when I first applied power to this I was getting very little HT. I thought, what the hell's going on? When I took it out and had a look, what's happening is this insulation was breaking down and it was tracking to the chassis, unbelievably. So I've had to rip all the existing HT wiring out and rewired it. Obviously the original smoothing cans were down there. I've now put new caps along here on this tag strip. Makes it easier to change in the future if anyone ever goes. hum balance pot had been there, been replaced with a wire wound pot there. What else was different in this amplifier? Oh yes, this resistor was never connected from the factory, and it goes to the grid line for the output valves and brings down the HT. So the HT, as the amplifier came to me, was a lot higher than it should be, basically, especially from the earlier stages, because this drops the voltage down. So that's about it. What else have we got? Oh, here's the new mute relay I put there for the amplifier. Also new, as you can see, new bass and treble controls and a new network to give decent lifting cut. The other different thing was this on the volume socket here had no provision for the tone taps on the volume control, which Rockola always fitted for Fletcher Munchausen effect. Basically it cuts the treble as you turn the volume down. So I've added the components that would be in a Rockola amplifier there, the same value, and also now got the proper pot, tapped pot to go in the amplifier. Okay, so that's about it there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to pause this video again, I'll turn it upside down, the right way up I should say, and we'll play a bit of music. Okay, right, we've got the amplifier switched on now. I've got the CD player plugged into it rather than the iPod, because the little iPod's not very high output, and this amplifier does need a fair amount to drive it, line in really, or obviously a high output ceramic cartridge, which was in the jukebox originally. I also demonstrate that the mute function now works. So without further ado, I'll switch it on. Bit of volume. Treble. Bass. Wondrous place. What a spot in a storm. Sounds very nice. I'll just demonstrate the mute. I'll just turn the power supply on here. It's muted now. Unmuted. Wondrous place, man, I'm nowhere when I'm anywhere else, but I don't care, everything's right when she holds me tight. Okay, that's about it really. Bit of a long video this one on this amplifier because it is such an unusual amplifier. I'll put this on the Rockola forum as well, just in case anybody ever gets one. I have drew out a couple of circuits just for my own use of what's actually in this amplifier. So if I ever get another one, then I'll know what I'm doing this time. This one has been a bit of a learning curve, obviously with no schematics available. Okay, thanks for watching.